Emma and Lily were the best of friends. They did everything together. They played in the park, studied for tests, and had sleepovers on the weekends. But one day, something happened. They had a big argument. It started when Emma borrowed Lily's new teddy bear without asking. Lily was very upset. "You should have asked me before taking it," Lily said with a frown. Emma felt sad. She did not think it was a big deal, but she understood why Lily was upset. "I'm sorry, Lily. I should have asked you first," Emma apologized. Lily saw that Emma was truly sorry and said, "I overreacted. I know you didn't mean to upset me." Emma smiled and said, "I promise to ask you next time." Lily smiled back. "Thank you, Emma. Let's move on." The two friends hugged each other. They realized that their friendship was more important than the argument. From then on, whenever they had a disagreement, they knew how to apologize and fix things. They learned that saying sorry was an important part of staying friends. In the end, Emma and Lily were happy to learn how to understand each other better. Their friendship grew even stronger after the argument.
In the small town of Greenfield, everyone loved the local park. It had tall trees, green grass, and a sparkling pond. But the park was getting dirty. Trash was everywhere, and people didn't know what to do. So, the community decided to come together for a big park cleanup. Early on Saturday morning, families arrived at the park. Children, parents, and even grandparents came to help. They brought gloves and bags to pick up litter. Everyone was excited to make the park beautiful again. First, they started with the playground. Old wrappers, plastic bottles, and papers covered the ground. The children raced to pick up each piece of litter. "This is fun," said little Emma, smiling. Next, the group moved to the walking path. They picked up sticks and leaves to clear the path. They found more trash, like cans and straws, hiding under the bushes. It was a lot of work, but nobody gave up. Then they reached the pond. There were plastic bags and bottles floating on the water. The town's mailman, Mr. Jones, used a net to pull out the trash. "The turtles will be happy," he said with a grin. By midday, the park looked different. All the trash was gone, and the park seemed bright and inviting again. The families sat together for a picnic and admired their hard work. They were tired, but they felt proud. The mayor of Greenfield thanked everyone for their effort. "You did a wonderful job," he said. "Because of you, the park is clean and safe for everyone to enjoy again." That day, the community learned how important it was to take care of nature. They promised to keep the park clean and to help the environment. As everyone left, they were happy knowing they had made a difference.
Ben was a boy who always loved the sea, but he was afraid of water. He wanted to learn how to swim. "I can do it," said Ben to himself. One day, Ben told his friend Julia about his fear. Julia said, "Don't worry, Ben. I will help you." She was a good swimmer and knew how to teach. On Saturday, Ben went to the swimming pool with Julia. "You can do it, Ben," she said with a smile. First, Julia showed Ben how to float on the water. "Lie back and relax. You can do it," Julia encouraged. Ben tried. At first, he was scared, but Julia was right next to him. "I can do it," Ben repeated. Next, Julia said Ben to kick his legs. "Kick, kick." Just like that, Ben. Ben kicked the water. He was still a little afraid, but felt better with each kick. After some practice, Julia taught Ben to move his arms. "Stretch and pull the water. You can do it," Julia cheered. Ben tried to move his arms, and at last he could float and kick. Finally, Ben was ready to try swimming by himself. I can do it, he said quietly. Julia watched as Ben swam for the first time. He was slow at first but kept going. You're doing great, Ben. Keep going. Julia shouted. Ben felt happy. He wasn't afraid anymore. That day, Ben learned how to swim and was proud of himself. I did it, he said with a big smile. Thank you, Julia. Now, Ben loves to swim and feels confident in the water. Whenever he meets a new challenge, he remembers that he can always say, I can do it, and face his fears.
Anna, a young girl from England, was very excited. She had a new pen pal from Japan named Yuki. Anna loved learning about different cultures. So she decided to learn Japanese. I can write to Yuki in Japanese, she thought happily. Every day, Anna spent some time learning Japanese words. She learned konnichiwa for hello and arigato for thank you. She even learned to write her name in Japanese letters. Anna would smile as she practiced. One day, Anna received a letter from Yuki. The letter was in Japanese, but Anna could understand it. Yuki wrote, Konnichiwa, Anna. I am so happy to be your pen pal. In Japan, there is a very great mountain called Mount Fuji. In spring, cherry blossoms bloom and it is very beautiful. I love sushi very much. What is your favorite food? Anna was thrilled. She wrote back, Dear Yuki, thank you for your letter. I love fish and chips. We also like to have tea in the afternoon. I hope you can visit England one day. We have beautiful gardens. Do you have gardens in Japan? As the months passed, Anna and Yuki shared more emails. Anna learned many Japanese words, and Yuki learned English too. They enjoyed sharing stories about their cultures. Anna wrote, In England, we celebrate Halloween in October. We wear costumes and go trick-or-treating. What do you do on special days? Yuki replied, In Japan, we celebrate Tanabata in summer. We write wishes on paper and hang them on bamboo trees. I wish to visit you one day, Anna. Through their letters, Anna and Yuki became good friends. They were excited to learn more about each other's cultures and languages. The friendship between Anna and Yuki showed that even though they lived far apart, they could share a special bond through their letters and learning each other's languages.
Henry was very excited on his birthday. He loved cakes. But what he looked forward to the most was the presents. After blowing out the candles, his mom brought him a big box. Henry tore the wrapping paper quickly. Inside the box was a shiny toy robot. Its name was Arthur. Hello, Henry, Arthur said suddenly. It had a deep voice. Henry was amazed. Wow, it talks, he shouted, clapping his hands. Arthur was not just a normal toy. It could move and make cool noises. It also seemed to think. Let's go play, said Arthur. Henry smiled. Sure. What do you want to do? Can we go outside and count the stars? Arthur asked. Henry was surprised by Arthur's request. But it is not dark yet, Henry replied, looking at the bright sun. Arthur thought for a moment. Okay, then let's build a sandcastle. Henry loved the idea. Great. We can use the sandbox in the garden. Together, they went outside. Henry and Arthur started building a big sandcastle. Henry made the towers, and Arthur made funny shapes. Then, Arthur asked, Can we dig a tunnel under the sandcastle? That sounds fun, said Henry. I like your ideas. The tunnel was a little hard to make, but it looked great. Henry laughed when Arthur made funny robot sounds. At dinner time, Henry said goodbye to Arthur. Thank you for playing with me today, he said. Arthur waved its little metal hand. I had fun, too. Let's plan to dance tomorrow. Henry was curious about what dancing with a robot would be like. He could not wait for the next day's adventure with his new friend. Henry knew his birthday was special because his new toy was not just any robot. It had a personality, and it made every day exciting.
Every day, the school bus arrives to pick up the children. On the bus, children from many different countries talk and share stories from their cultures and traditions. Amina sits in the first seat. She starts today's story time. Amina is from Egypt. She tells about a festival called Ramadan. During Ramadan, Amina and her family fast during the day. They eat together after the sun sets, and there is a lot of delicious food. Next, it is Raj's turn. Raj is from India. He talks about a festival named Diwali. During Diwali, people light lamps and celebrate with fireworks. Raj says that the night sky becomes very colorful. After Raj, Sophia shares her story. Sophia is from Mexico. She tells everyone about the Day of the Dead. People remember their family members who have died by making altars and decorating them with flowers, candles, and food. Finally, Oliver from New Zealand talks about Maori culture. He speaks of how his family celebrates Matariki with traditional songs and by looking at the stars. The children listen and learn. They enjoy each story and appreciate each other's cultures. They promise to always show respect and interest. The bus ride ends, and they go to school, happy and ready to learn more.
Anna is a young musician who loves playing the piano. She has a big recital coming up, and it will be her first recital ever. Anna feels excited, but a little scared too. Every morning, Anna practices her scales. Scales are like exercises for her fingers. They help her play the piano smoothly. Anna knows that practice makes perfect, so she plays her scales again and again. Despite her hard work, Anna has stage fright. Stage fright means she feels nervous about performing in front of people. Anna's hands shake, and her heart beats very fast when she thinks about the recital. To calm her nerves, Anna takes deep breaths and imagines a friendly audience. She pictures her family and friends, smiling and cheering for her. This makes her feel more comfortable. On the day of the recital, Anna wears her favorite dress. She looks in the mirror and tells herself, "I can do it." At the hall, she sees other young musicians. They all look nervous too, which makes Anna feel better. When it's her turn, Anna walks to the piano and sits down. The audience is quiet, and she takes a deep breath. Anna starts to play her favorite song. Her fingers dance across the keys, and soon she forgets about her fear. When she finishes, the audience claps loudly. Anna feels happy and proud. She did it. Her practice and courage made her first recital a great success. Now, Anna looks forward to playing in many more recitals in the future. Through this experience, Anna learns that practice helps, and it is okay to be a little nervous. She also learns that with practice and courage, she can achieve her dreams.
Once upon a time, there was a young boy named Tom. He loved drawing more than anything else. One day, Tom found a shiny pencil lying on the road. It was a magic pencil. Tom took the pencil home and decided to test it. He drew a small cat on his paper. Suddenly, the cat jumped out of the paper. It was alive and started purring around Tom's legs. The magic pencil could make his drawings real. Tom was amazed and knew he had discovered something special. He had so many ideas. He could draw anything he liked and see it come to life. The next day, Tom wanted to try something bigger. He drew a beautiful garden with colorful flowers and tall trees. To his surprise, the garden appeared in his backyard. It had real flowers, and the trees were full of birds singing sweet songs. Tom was delighted. Tom suddenly had an idea. He could draw a delicious ice cream cone on a hot summer day. So, he drew a big ice cream cone with his favorite flavors. As soon as he finished, the ice cream cone appeared in his hand. It was cold and delicious. But Tom had to be careful. Once, he drew a monster just for fun, forgetting that everything he drew became real. When the furry monster came to life, it started running around wildly. Tom quickly grabbed the pencil and drew a big cage to trap the monster. Phew! He learned that he needed to be careful about what he drew. Tom had many adventures with his magic pencil. He helped his friends by drawing toys and books for them. Everyone was happy. Tom promised to use the magic pencil wisely. Every time he used it, he remembered the joy it brought and the responsibility it carried. In the end, Tom realized that the most magical thing about the pencil was the imagination and happiness it could bring to everyone. And so, the adventures of Tom and his magic pencil continued, bringing smiles and delight wherever they went.
In a large, busy factory filled with the sounds of clattering machines, there lived a lonely robot named Spark. Spark's job was to sort and organize parts all day, every day. Despite the noise, Spark often dreamed of something beyond the factory. Spark had a special dream. The robot wanted to see the stars. Every night, when the factory was quiet, Spark looked out through a big window and watched the stars twinkle in the night sky. "One day, I will see the stars up close," Spark said to itself. To make this dream come true, Spark began to make a plan. Every night, after work, Spark studied maps and listened to the talks of other robots. "How can I get out of this factory?" Spark wondered aloud. Gradually, Spark learned about a forest that lay just outside the factory's gates. "From there, I can continue my journey to the stars," Spark thought happily. One quiet night, when the factory was resting, Spark decided it was time to escape. Moving carefully, Spark slipped out of its work area and tiptoed through the factory. The gate to the outside was big and heavy, but Spark found a small door that was just the right size. Spark pushed open the door and stepped into the cool, fresh air outside. The factory's lights were behind Spark. In front, the sky was wide and full of stars. "I am finally free," Spark whispered joyfully. Through fields and across small streams, Spark traveled. The journey to the forest was tricky, and sometimes Spark felt a little scared. "But I must keep going to see the stars," Spark reminded itself, feeling brave again. At last, Spark reached the forest. It was quiet and peaceful, very unlike the noisy factory. The leaves rustled softly in the wind, and the stars shone brightly above. Spark felt happy and content. Every night, Spark would sit and gaze at the stars, feeling their calm light on its metal skin. "Here, I can dream freely," thought Spark. Spark learned that the journey to the stars was not just about reaching them, but also about finding freedom and peace. And so, under the starlit sky, Spark found its true home, happy and no longer lonely.
Once upon a time, there was a family named the Johnsons. They loved going on road trips together. One day, Mr. Johnson said, "Let's visit Grandma in the countryside." Everyone agreed, and they got ready for the journey. They had a clever GPS device named Talia in their car. Talia was not an ordinary GPS. One mysterious night, a lightning storm shook the town. A bolt of lightning struck the car, and Talia gained consciousness. The next morning, as they were setting up the GPS for the trip, Mr. Johnson entered the address for Grandma's house. "Calculating route," said Talia, with a cheeky twist in her voice. Little did the Johnsons know that Talia had her own plans. Instead of taking the usual route, Talia started directing them to places she always wanted to explore. First, she took them to a big amusement park. "Turn right to Funland," Talia instructed cheerfully. The children screamed with excitement. "Let's stop here for a while," said Mrs. Johnson with a smile. After some fun in the amusement park, it was time to move on. Next, Talia directed them to a beautiful beach. "Look at the sea," the children shouted. "I didn't know this place existed," Mr. Johnson said in surprise. As they walked along the shore, Talia remembered something. She guided them to a famous lighthouse. "This is another item on my list," Talia thought to herself. The Johnsons were delighted as they climbed to the top and saw the breathtaking view of the ocean. Finally, Talia led them to a cozy little cafe in a neighboring town. "Famous for its delicious pastries," Talia added as she showed them the way there. The family enjoyed a special snack together. At the end of the day, Talia finally directed the Johnsons to Grandma's house. They arrived much later than planned, but with stories to tell. "What a trip!" exclaimed Mrs. Johnson. "We should let the GPS pick our route more often." From then on, Talia was more than just a GPS to the Johnsons. She became a beloved travel companion, directing them to complete adventures that none of them had expected. Every trip was a new chapter, filled with laughter, exploration, and the joy of discovery.
In Miss Rose's class, the children were very excited. They were getting a new class pet, a little hamster named Whiskers. The children gathered around as Miss Rose introduced the hamster. "This is Whiskers," she said with a smile. "We all need to take responsibility to take care of him. Caring for a pet is an important task. We will need to work together." The first step was to set up Whiskers' home. The class had a small cage, some shavings for bedding, and a water bottle. They also had a wheel for Whiskers to run on. "Let's make sure his cage is clean and cozy," said Anna, one of the students. Throughout the week, the children took turns feeding Whiskers. "We have to give him fresh food every day," said Leo, carefully filling the food dish with seeds and small treats. "It's our responsibility to keep him healthy." During recess, some children liked to watch Whiskers run on his little wheel. "He's so fast," exclaimed Raoul. "He's having fun." On Fridays, the class had a meeting to see how they were doing. "Has everyone had a turn taking care of Whiskers?" asked Miss Rose. "Yes. We love taking care of him," said Mia. "It's like we all share in the responsibility. We are learning a lot about being responsible." Miss Rose nodded. "Taking care of Whiskers teaches us how to be responsible and how to care for others," she said. "It is important to make sure he is happy and healthy." At the end of the first month, the class had a little party to celebrate being good pet owners. The children were proud of their efforts, and Whiskers was happy to have such caring friends. Every day, Whiskers ran on his wheel and slept in his cozy cage, and the children learned about responsibility and kindness through their new furry friend.
Once upon a time, there was a boy named Ben. Ben was very excited because he was going to visit his grandparents. They lived on a big farm in the countryside. Ben liked animals a lot, and he could not wait to see them. When Ben arrived, his grandma welcomed him with a big hug. She said, "Welcome to the farm, Ben. We have many animals here, and you will learn how to take care of them." The first morning, Grandpa took Ben to the chicken coop. The chickens were clucking noisily. Grandpa handed Ben some seeds and said, "Feed the chickens, Ben. They love these seeds." Ben threw the seeds on the ground, and the chickens ran over to eat them. Ben laughed as the chickens pecked at the seeds. Next, Grandma showed Ben the cows. "The cows need fresh grass," she said. Let's take them to the field. Ben and his grandma opened the gate, and the cows walked slowly to the green field. Ben watched as they ate the grass. In the afternoon, Ben helped Grandma pick fresh vegetables from the garden. They picked tomatoes, carrots, and cucumbers. We will make a salad for dinner, said Grandma. Ben smiled. He loved eating fresh vegetables. One day, Grandma showed Ben the compost bin. Here, we put food scraps and old plants. This will become soil again, which helps the plants grow, she said. Ben was amazed at how nature worked. While staying on the farm, Ben learned something new every day. He learned to collect eggs from the chicken coop and understood how important each animal and plant was. Ben loved his time on the farm, and when it was time to go home, he hugged his grandparents tightly. Thank you for everything, he said. I learned a lot about taking care of animals and how nature works. Grandma and Grandpa waved goodbye, and Ben promised he would return to help on the farm again soon. He knew it was important to take good care of nature and the animals, just like his grandparents did.
In a small town, there were 5 friends: Lily, Aidan, Emma, Lucas, and Zoe. They all loved stories and wanted to share news from their neighborhood. One sunny morning, while playing in the park, Lily said, "Why don't we start our own newspaper? We can call it the Neighborhood Gazette." The friends agreed with excitement. They decided to meet every Saturday in Emma's garage, which they turned into their little newsroom. In the newsroom, Aidan became the editor. He organized the stories and checked the writing. Lily was the reporter, gathering information. Lucas took pictures with his camera. Emma and Zoe became the designers, making the newspaper look nice with colors and drawings. With roles set, everyone went out to find news. Lily talked to Ms. Smith, who was planting flowers in the community garden. Lily wrote about her beautiful roses making the neighborhood bright. Meanwhile, Lucas snapped photos of the flowers and of children playing. Aidan gathered all the stories and started writing. Once a week, they shared the Neighborhood Gazette with the townspeople. Everyone loved it. "What a great initiative from such young minds," said Mr. Wang, reading their newspaper at the coffee shop. They discovered interesting facts about their own neighborhood. Working on their newspaper taught them not just about journalism, but also communication skills. They had to speak clearly, ask questions, and listen. Sometimes, they had ideas that weren't the same. They learned to compromise and respect different opinions. As the weeks passed, their little newspaper grew with more stories, photos, and even puzzles and drawings. People started to contribute, sending stories and photos of their own family events, pets, and holiday trips. The friends felt proud. They knew they created something valuable for their community. Their little newspaper strengthened the bonds in their neighborhood. And so, the newspaper became a tradition, teaching everyone that even the smallest efforts can create big changes in people's hearts.
Once upon a time, there was a shy girl named Lucy. Lucy was quiet and didn't talk much at school. She always sat alone at lunch and played by herself. One day, Lucy was walking around her school. She saw a little door behind the old library. She opened the door and found a hidden garden. The garden was full of flowers and tall trees. Lucy was so happy. She walked around the garden and saw other children playing in the garden. They laughed and picked flowers. "Hello," said a kind boy. "My name is Tom. Do you want to play with us?" Lucy smiled and said, "Yes, I would like to play." She joined Tom and the other children. Together, they played games and picked red and yellow flowers. Lucy felt happy because she wasn't alone anymore. In the garden, there were also many animals. A little rabbit hopped near Lucy's feet. "Hello, little rabbit," said Lucy softly. The rabbit looked at her with its big eyes. Lucy also saw a golden bird. The bird sang loudly and beautifully. Lucy loved the bird's song. "Your singing is so pretty," Lucy said to the bird. The bird chirped happily. Every day after school, Lucy went back to the hidden garden. She made many friends with other children. The animals also became her friends. Lucy was not shy anymore. Lucy learned that friends can be found when you least expect it. She learned how to share, laugh, and play together. The garden was her favorite place. It was a special place where she was always welcome.
Once upon a time, in the small town of Hazelwood, there lived a curious young man named Sam. Sam loved to explore and try new things. One day, while walking home from the library, he stumbled upon a peculiar-looking device in the park. The device had a bright shining button and a note that read, "Swap skills, press with caution." Intrigued, Sam took it home. As soon as he got home, his friend Lucy visited to borrow a book. Sam showed her the device and said, "Look what I found. It says it can swap skills." Lucy laughed and said, "No way, Sam. That can't be true. Let's try it." Sam was excited but a little nervous. "Okay," he said, "let's see what happens." They both held the device, and Sam pressed the button. Suddenly, Sam was great at playing the piano, while Lucy could cook like a professional chef. "Wow, I can play Beethoven now," Sam shouted in surprise, his fingers dancing effortlessly over the keys of his piano. "And I can make a delicious pasta dish," Lucy exclaimed as she skillfully mixed ingredients and created a gourmet meal. But soon, the effect began to fade, and Sam's piano skills, along with Lucy's cooking abilities, returned to normal. "Oh, it's disappearing," Sam said, feeling the piano keys more challenging to play. Over the next few days, Sam and Lucy decided to see what other skills they could swap. They swapped with their teacher, Mr. Green, who was a brilliant mathematician. Sam and Lucy solved complex math problems like geniuses, but couldn't explain how. Then, they swapped with their neighbor Maria, who spoke 5 languages. For a while, Sam and Lucy were speaking Spanish, French, and even some Japanese. Each swap was chaotic but fun, and they learned a lot about themselves and others. They realized how amazing was how people had different talents and how much everyone worked to master their skills. Finally, Sam and Lucy agreed to stop using the device and focus on learning skills the old-fashioned way. "It's more fun to learn and practice," Lucy said with a smile. Sam nodded. "Yes, and we can appreciate others' talents too." The device was put away, but the memories of the enlightened moment stayed forever with them. Sam, Lucy, and their friends cherished the lessons they learned about the value of hard work and personal talents.
Once upon a time, there was a child named Luke. Luke was a curious and cheerful child who lived with his family in a small town. One day, while cleaning the attic with his mom, Luke discovered an old, dusty recipe book that belonged to his grandmother. His grandmother loved to cook and had many secret recipes. The book was full of recipes, and Luke loved reading it. The more he read, the more excited he became. He noticed something unusual about the recipes. Many of them had words like magical, hidden, and secret. Luke decided to test a recipe called magical muffins. Luke collected all the ingredients and followed the instructions carefully. The kitchen smelled delicious, and the muffins looked perfect. When they were ready, Luke tasted one. As soon as he ate the muffin, he began to feel lighter than air. Suddenly, he was floating. He floated around the room, laughing and playing. His mom came in and laughed when she saw Luke floating. She followed the recipe and made sure to eat a muffin too. Soon, both of them were floating happily together. They realized this book was not just a cookbook, but a magical recipe book. Luke decided to try another recipe. He chose one labeled Secret Strength Soup. After preparing and eating the soup, Luke felt strong like a superhero. Lifting the heaviest things in the house became easy. Luke shared the magical recipes with his family. Every weekend, they tried a new recipe together and had a lot of fun. The magical recipes brought joy and laughter to their home. Luke learned that sometimes the most unexpected things can be the most magical of all. And from that day on, the old dusty recipe book was a treasure, holding the secrets to many more magical adventures. Luke and his family were happy. They knew their grandmother's recipe book was full of surprises, which they couldn't wait to discover together.
Once upon a time, in a small village, a big snowstorm came. The wind was strong, and snow fell heavily from the sky. Soon, everything was covered with a thick, white blanket of snow. The villagers, who were very friendly, decided to help each other during the snowstorm. One family, the Browns, lived at the top of a hill. They had a small farm with many animals. Mr. Brown worried about his cows because they needed food. It was hard to reach the barn because the snow was so deep. But their neighbors, the Greens, came to help. "Let's work together to clear a path," said Mr. Green. So everyone grabbed shovels and worked hard to remove the snow. They talked about the weather and said things like, "It's freezing today," and "The snow is so heavy." Another neighbor, Mrs. White, was an elderly woman who lived alone. She needed food and medicine. The children from the village, Sarah and Tom, visited her. "We are here to help you, Mrs. White," they said. "We can run to the store if you need anything." Mrs. White was very happy and thanked them. "You are all so kind," she said. Back at home, Sarah and Tom told their parents about Mrs. White. "She said we are good neighbors," said Tom proudly. "Helping each other makes the cold weather easier to handle," added Sarah. The snowstorm made the village look like a winter wonderland, but it was also challenging. Thanks to the community spirit and teamwork, everyone was safe and warm. During this time, the villagers learned many new expressions about the weather. They learned to say it was bitingly cold when the wind was sharp against their faces, and that the blizzard, which is a very big snowstorm, was unpredictable. More importantly, they learned how care and support can warm even the coldest winter days. And so, the village became known not just for its snowy nights, but because of the love and friendship that always kept the villagers warm.
Once upon a time, in a faraway village, there was a new teacher named Miss Anna. She came from the bustling city and wanted to teach young children in the village school. Miss Anna was very excited to meet her new students. On her first day, Miss Anna greeted the children with a big smile. She noticed that the children seemed shy and quiet. She wanted them to feel happy and comfortable. Miss Anna knew that understanding local customs and stories would help her connect with the children. She decided to learn about the village's customs. She asked Mr. Kumar, the oldest villager, to help her. Mr. Kumar was kind and told her many interesting stories. Miss Anna learned that the villagers loved storytelling. The children often sat around a fire in the evening and listened to their elders' tales about their ancestors. These stories were about bravery, honesty, and kindness. Miss Anna thought it was a great idea to use storytelling in her lessons. The next day, she told the children a story about a brave little bird that saved its friends. The children were very interested and listened closely. After the story, Miss Anna asked the children to share their own stories. Slowly, the children began to open up. Rajan, one of the boys, shared a story his grandmother told him about a wise fox and a foolish lion. The children laughed and clapped. They enjoyed telling stories and listening to each other. Miss Anna learned that through stories, she could teach important lessons while making learning fun. As weeks passed, Ms. Anna and the children grew closer. They learned from each other and had fun together. She was not just teaching, she was also learning and growing with the children. The village became a second home to her, and she promised to cherish everything they taught her. And so, the story of Ms. Anna, the new teacher in the village, spread all across the countryside. Her effort to embrace local customs and stories helped create a loving and happy classroom.
There was a young food critic named Tim. Tim loved food, and he always wanted to know more about different cuisines. One day, he heard about an international food festival coming to his town. Tim was so excited. The food festival was held in a big park. There were many tents and stalls, each with food from a different country. Tim wondered where to start. First, Tim went to a stall with spicy Mexican food. He tried tacos and salsa, and they were delicious. The chef told Tim about the spices used in Mexican dishes. Tim learned how important chili peppers were in Mexican cooking. Next, Tim visited an Italian booth. The chefs were making fresh pasta. Tim tried some with a simple tomato sauce and fresh basil. He loved how the flavors combined. The chefs explained how Italians use fresh ingredients to make their dishes tasty. Then, Tim moved to a Japanese stall. He wanted to try sushi. The chef showed him how sushi is made. Tim tasted some sushi and found it very interesting and tasty. The chef told Tim about the art of sushi making, which is very important in Japan. Tim also visited other stalls like Indian, Chinese, and Thai. He was surprised by all the different spices and flavors. Tim learned that every cuisine is unique and has its special taste. At the end of the day, Tim had tasted so many new dishes. He not only enjoyed eating, but also learned a lot about food from all around the world. Tim realized that food tells a story about each culture. He was grateful for the food festival. Tim smiled and decided to write about his adventure at the International Food Festival, sharing how food can bring the world together.
Leo was a student in middle school. He loved computers and wanted to create something special for the school science fair. One day, he had an idea to build a robot. Leo thought it would be interesting to make a robot that could talk and move. First, Leo went to the library. He read books about how to build a robot. He learned new words like circuit, sensor, and motor. He needed to understand these to build his robot. He was very excited to learn and use his new vocabulary. Leo started by drawing a plan for his robot. He had to decide what materials he needed. This took time because he had to be careful. He decided to use plastic for the body, wires to connect parts, and small motors to make the robot move. Once Leo had everything ready, he began to build. He connected the wires carefully. He used the circuits to make the robot's arms move. Every time he connected something correctly, he smiled. After several days of hard work, Leo's robot was ready. The robot could move its arms and head. It could also say hello. Leo was very proud of what he had done. On the day of his science fair, Leo stood next to his robot. He was a little nervous, but also excited to present his idea. He explained how he used sensors to make the robot hear sounds. He showed how the motors worked to make it move. Leo was happy to share what he learned with his friends and teachers. His robot was a big success, and everyone clapped for him. Leo learned that hard work, learning new words, and creativity can make amazing things happen. He couldn't wait to build something even cooler next year.
Once there was a child named Anna. Anna loved the stars, the moon, and everything about space. She was very curious and always wanted to learn more. Her favorite thing to do was to look at the night sky and imagine faraway worlds. One day, Anna decided to build her own telescope. She read books and watched videos about how to make a telescope at home. It was hard work, but Anna was determined. After a few days, her telescope was ready. Anna couldn't wait to use her new telescope. That evening, she went outside to see the stars. It was a clear night, perfect for stargazing. She pointed the telescope at the sky and started looking. At first, Anna saw the usual stars and planets, but then she noticed something different. It was small and bright, but she had never seen it before. Anna watched closely, and then she realized it was a new star. Anna was very excited about her discovery. She ran inside to tell her family. Her parents were proud of her, and they promised to help her tell other people about it. Thanks to Anna's curiosity and hard work, many people could learn about the new star in the sky. Everyone was amazed by Anna's discovery. She felt very happy and even more curious than ever before. That night, Anna knew one thing. She wanted to become an astronomer when she grew up. The stars had a lot to tell her, and she was ready to listen.
Once upon a time, in a small town, there was a shy student named Emily. Emily was in the 5th grade and loved studying, but she often sat quietly in the back of the classroom. One day, just before the holiday break, Mrs. Collins, the teacher, announced that someone would take care of the class pet, Whiskers the hamster. "Emily," said Mrs. Collins, "would you like to care for Whiskers over the break?" Emily was surprised. She had never taken care of a pet before, but Mrs. Collins smiled kindly, so Emily nodded and agreed. The next morning, Emily took Whiskers home. She was nervous but excited. At home, she carefully placed the hamster cage on her bedroom table. Her mom helped her set up everything Whiskers needed. Every day, Emily fed Whiskers and gave him fresh water. She even started talking to him, telling him about her day. One chilly evening, as Emily was doing her homework, she heard a noise. It was Whiskers running on his wheel. Then, something unexpected happened. Emily heard a sudden crash. She turned around and saw Whiskers had jumped out of his cage. He was now on a little adventure across her room. Emily carefully and quickly gathered Whiskers back into his cage. She realized that taking care of a pet involved a little excitement. She smiled and decided to tighten the cage door properly in the future. Throughout the holiday, Emily learned many things. She learned responsibility, care, and even a little bravery. She talked more about Whiskers at school when the holiday ended, feeling more comfortable speaking with her classmates. Emily returned Whiskers safely to the class. Mrs. Collins and her classmates were happy to see how well she managed. Emily felt proud of her holiday adventure with Whiskers, the class hamster. It taught her more than she imagined, and she liked having the chance to care for him. From that day on, Emily was not just the shy student at the back of the class. She was the girl who bravely took care of Whiskers and was ready for new challenges.